These were very preliminary because we didn't have time to sputter coat before this APEC thing, but we wanted to show that we're getting the data now. So the epoxy around the samples was reflecting a lot of electrons just charging up like crazy. So we weren't able to get a lot of like of the electron beam onto the sample itself. So we didn't get enough. We didn't get as much counts as we otherwise would. But yeah, I mean, you can see the microstructure. I was hoping we might see some dendrites, or we etched the surface a little bit here, but we didn't see the grain boundaries as much. Which, I mean, for a 7000 series, if you're just using sodium hydroxide, that can happen. These regions in there the brighter regions seem to have some silicon as well as aluminum, and there may be traces of manganese. And well, we'll get to that. But yeah, I mean, this is very preliminary. We'll go back and redo it tomorrow with some sputtering or some other way of anti-staticking the surface. Next one. So our initial very, very preliminary data, it looks like there's some manganese. Maybe there's a little bit of copper. And then magnesium, aluminum, and silicon, which is fairly standard for a 7000 series aluminum. There's copper and oxygen there too. We suspect maybe the copper and oxygen are from the epoxy surrounding it. If it was really, really charging up severely, it would have been like bouncing electrons back into the detector, even though it wasn't in the field of view. So, yeah, I suspect that might have been the case, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do about that tomorrow. Next one. So this was the sample under ring lighting in a metallographic microscope. The blue is colloidal silica nanoparticles, which we etched. We were checking the surface, and so we etched those away afterwards with sodium hydroxide. I mean, we if it was something native to the sample, we had cleaned. I mean, we had polished the sample flat with colloidal silica in the first place. So if there were silica microstructures anyway, we wouldn't have been able to tell them apart from the colloidal silica that we had used to polish the sample anyway. So that's what that's. The larger white particles, those are actually inclusions in the aluminum that but yeah, actually no, wait, sorry. In ring lighting, those would be holes. Those would be holes, like little air pockets. The fact that we have so much porosity isn't too much of a shock for a human-made alloy, but it would be weird if something alien-made. Well, I mean, unless they have some function. But yeah, there's little amounts of porosity. I'd say like 95% to 97% solid. But anyway, next slide. So these were the amounts that it measured for each of the elements, assuming we didn't get rid of the carbon and oxygen, which that kind of throws things off. And also, it was integrating these. It doesn't add to 100 or anything, but it's integrating these counts over like a. We didn't get to integrate very long before something went wrong with the EDS system anyway, so we got to go debug that tomorrow. But yeah, that's it's mostly aluminum, a little bit of magnesium and silicon, and maybe some manganese and copper. That's in line with many earth alloys, but I'll have to double check which alloy it would specifically be. And with the copper, I mean, with the carbon and oxygen removed, because we suspect that those are from the surrounding epoxy, the aluminum, and well, yeah, it's basically 95% aluminum, 2-point-something% magnesium, with a little bit of silicon, a little bit of manganese, maybe some copper, but basically under 0.5%. You really can't trust EDS data too much. So, yeah, we can be sure about aluminum, manganese, silicon, magnesium as well, and maybe the copper, but not really. Like there's not enough signal noise. We didn't integrate for long enough anyway to be sure about that. So that's what that is. Was there one more picture? Yeah, and this is the optical microscopy, and you can see that there's two phases. So it's probably like an aluminum silicide phase dispersed in an aluminum phase, and then the magnesium is at, and manganese would be at such a low percentage that they're just they're not forming any third phases or anything. They're just diffused throughout the other phases. The black stuff is um, probably holes. There are a few areas where the material's black, but it seems like it's sort of bowed outward, which suggests that there was a hard material at that location. We'll take a closer look at that next at the next opportunity. But basically the two main phases are this a dark gray phase, which is aluminum and silicon, and then the lighter phase is aluminum in the optical microscopy. And then the black phase is mostly just pits, and some of it might be a hard material. Yeah,
well, Michael, thank you. Thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate it. And I should mention, thank you for...
There's one more thing I forgot to mention. We took some SEM from, we didn't get pictures of it yet, but we have SEM from the side and the top. And we basically took the XY plane, the YZ plane, and the other, we were looking for anisotropic crystal structure because 7000 series aluminum is sometimes like a raw alloy, and basically if you squish the material, then the aluminum silicide will, if you really squish it, the crystals will sort of align along a specific dimension, and you'll be able to tell that it was mechanically deformed and worked. But we don't have enough data to suggest that it is yet. If it was deformed that way, it wasn't by a large amount. Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, no, I want to thank you yet again and mention that. So you were running across town or across Massachusetts, I don't remember which, to get these photos for us today. And that was just a lack of my poor communication. So thank you for the last minute work, and thank you for explaining this. I would love, if you're able to do a future presentation as a drill down on this, I would love to see more. I should ask, in your opinion then, you're talking about 7000 series aluminum. Do you think that this has kind of a prosaic explanation?
It would, but I'm not discounting anything yet. It's too soon to say.
Okay. The reason I ask is, from what I've heard at these crash retrieval sites, supposedly when these retrieval crews go in, they dump all sorts of metal scraps and garbage specifically to confuse UFO parts hunters, right? So
yeah, and Frank found a ton of that before he found this sample too, and this didn't fit with any of the other stuff, but it could just be other aluminum trash in the area. But the other thing is that region of New Mexico had a lot of like bomb testing for military applications and things. So it could be a piece of shell casing from something.